Hi there, I'm Mikey Kusnecki. That's right, the Mikey Kusnecki of Mikey Kusnecki's Packer and Beer Forum. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, where'd you go, Mikey? I used to love watching that dang show of yours. Well, I used to love watching my show too, and not just 'cause I'm so gosh darn handsome, but 'cause it dealt with issues important to the local Milwaukee community. Packers and beer. You know though, aside from the Packers' current winning streak, the popcorn at Wolski's, or the outrightly alcoholic drinking habits of the Midwesterners, all other good things, aside from those things, must come to an end. Like my show. So you're probably asking yourself, what's a big shot, hot shot, money bags guy like you doing nowadays? Well, I'll tell you. After my ex-wife left me, I decided to take my money and do a bit of traveling. Tour the country and see the sights. That was over 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't looked back. I've currently got myself set up in this sweet little pad you see before you in my Uncle Bert's basement here in North Dakota. It's a great setup, and I don't miss my whore ex-wife at all. What I do miss, however, is bringing quality educational type programming and whatnot to the fine folks that are willing to pay attention to a down-to-earth Midwesterner who tells it like it is. So, the other day, as Bert's countertop was on fire and I was using his fold-up computer thingy to research the best way to put out a bacon grease fire without wasting the bacon grease, I had an apostrophe, I had an idea, and I says to myself, why don't I just broadcast via that folded up computer over there, using the internet here in Bert's basement and whatnot? And here I am. I seen folks showing all their fancy pants skills off on that YourTube, and I decided, hey, maybe it's time old Mikey gets on YourTube and shares some pearls with the world. So today, I'm going to be showing you some do's and don'ts and the overall process of shotgunning a beer. I figured between football season, the holidays, your family, and the god-awful cold, it might be a technique worth sharing. Plus, since I moved into Bert's basement here, shotgunning beer has become somewhat of an art to me. So, whether you're an old-timer out of touch with the tradition of it all, or you're a young, ambitious kid trying to pick up a new skill to take with you to high school, I encourage you to follow along with me. Uptight parents out there should remember, too, the only realistic anti-drug is alcohol. So, I've gone ahead and I've gathered a variety of materials or implements or whatnot to show you how to shotgun a beer. Not just things to penetrate the can, but also different cans themselves. For example, there's a Budweiser in the corner over there. It's not necessarily my choice because it's kind of a heavy beer. I'm going with Keystone Light tonight because it's on special over at the gas station nearby Bert's basement here. I like light beer because you can drink more of it. It's generally cheaper. That's basically it. But between, say, the regular size can here, 12 ounces, and the 16-ounce cans over here, 16 ounces, that's kind of a personal preference. The Kusneckis all over the place. They go way back, and everyone's got their different styles, and I encourage you to really kind of search your soul and figure out the best way that you think it is to shotgun a beer. I'm just here to introduce you to some of the basics, if you will. So anyhow, you're going to want to take your beer. Like I said, I'm working with a Keystone Light here. That's just me. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find an implement to pierce the can with. I've got a variety of options here in front of me, things that I just picked up from the floor around me. Like I said, I've got do's and don'ts. What we are going to use today is a key. I'll explain why afterwards. Some other things you can work with. I've got a multi-tool here. You could probably use any one of the little devices on it. The knife's always nice. A kitchen knife works as well. You could probably figure out how to use the pliers too. That would work. A pen is also a handy device. Works well. You know, it's specifically shaped that way so you can pierce a hole in the can. And I know a lot of people, you know, some Kusneckis included, they make smaller holes, you know, and they can't shotgun their beer as fast, but it's still faster than drinking it would normally be. So a pen works nicely because it kind of gives it that shape already. It's tailored to it, if you will. Let's see, I was sculpting the other day, so I've got a little sculpture tool here. It's got some sharp edges. You can poke down in there. This would work relatively well. Some things you're probably not going to want to use. I know I said a pen was fair game. A marker, felt tip, unless you're really working with a sharp edge, it's really not going to do too much for you. It's probably just going to slow you down. It might even be more efficient to drink the beer regularly than to try using something like this. Not only that, I believe it's probably toxic and somehow poisonous, so I would probably steer away from the markers, Sharpies, felt tip, that kind of thing. Go with your regular pens. A lighter. You know, everyone's got one in their pocket so they can smoke their cigarettes or whatnot. And you know, I guess if all I had in the room was a lighter, I could probably figure out a way, but a lighter is probably not going to be your best option. A spoon? This is out. It's really not going to do much. Like I said, you could probably figure out a way to make it work, but you're not going to want to go with a spoon. Kazoo? Entirely out of the picture. Kazoo, there isn't, if it was me, a beer, and a kazoo, well, maybe I could figure out, but maybe not even me. A kazoo is really not going to be a very good tool for shotgunning a beer. And then lastly, a chicken bone. No, that's not, even I say that's unsanitary, and I don't even know why it was sitting around here. I should probably clean up a little bit. Anyhow, one more thing before we move on too. I discussed the different can sizes. That can be an important thing in terms of preference. But my Uncle Dave, he insisted that it was possible to shotgun a bottle. 2 different times, 2 different occasions this happened, and he ended up in the hospital. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with the advice and just let you know, don't go with shotgunning a bottle. It's not going to work. Plus, you know, those beers are far too expensive. They're tasty, you know, you drink them when you're doing well and whatnot, but we like to try and keep people out of the hospital for either an internally bleeding throat or liver cancer. So anyhow, what I'm going to go with today is a key. I'm going to go with a key because I remember the first time I shotgunned a beer, it was with an old timer. Someone, say like myself right now or something, that would be hanging out with a high schooler for some unprecedented reason. He called it a church key. He said everyone got your church keys, and everyone pulled out their keys because they used them to shotgun beers. I thought that was just kind of a nice sentiment, and it went along with the tradition of the thing and reminded me that people have been shotgunning beers since the cavemen been around, you know, so it's not just something I just invented, it's something I'm just trying to pass around, call it an oral tradition or something, if you will. Now, it's not so much of a science, otherwise I probably wouldn't be very good at it, but you're going to want to hold your can at an angle. Now, somewhere in here there's a small little air bubble. You want to try and find that air bubble so when you make your hole, you're piercing into the air bubble and not the beer quantity or whatever. So anyhow, you're going to want to do that. Now you use the broad end of your key here, your church key. Another important technique is it's nice to make sure that this is down here, because when you go up, you're going to pull up and you're going to want to open this. The easier you can make it to open it on yourself, the better. So if it's facing this way, that would be probably the most natural way to shotgun a beer, at least for us Kusneckis it's always been. So you go like that. I also like, you got to be careful with this, make a little space there so it's easy to open. When it's flat down against there, it can be really tough. You get it up to your mouth, you end up spending a couple seconds trying to figure out how to actually open the dang thing, and you're liable to lose a race and maybe a bet and, you know, your paycheck. Who knows? Whatever it is you did. Anyhow, so I've gone ahead, flipped the tab up a little bit so it'll be easy to open. I've got it angled correctly. I'm going to use my thumb here. Safety is an important issue. I'm going to pierce the hole real slow. See, hear that? That's a good noise. Now I know the pressure has been compromised. So I'm going to dig my key in there. The next issue is the size of the hole. Like I said, a pen is nice if you like that size hole. But the whole advantage to shotgunning a beer is you can make a relatively large hole and drink the beer that much faster. So I go with maybe a nickel-sized hole, maybe now, but if I was in a race, I'd go with maybe a $half-dollar size hole or something about as large that I could get my mouth around. Anyhow, we're going to go with about a nickel-sized hole today. Now I've got it set up so it's not spilling all around me, you see. That's the first thing you'll notice with novices. I've got my tab ready, so I got a good grip on it. Should be relatively easy for me to pull when I go up. You can even use your nail. Get your nail dug right in under there. So that way when you go up, you make sure this thing's going to explode and shoot all the beer down your throat. That's the idea here. Okay? So cheers. You ready? That's another important part right there. When you're done, you let your lungs cease up. Just relax your stomach, relax your gut muscles, your beer drinking muscles, and you let it all out. Let all that air out. Otherwise you get bubbles, you know. You might get one or two. If you can get one or two burps out, then you're good. But you don't want to be burping up a foamy mess the entire rest of the night, or puking foam, or some god-awful incident such as that. See, that'll be the last of my problems. I'm ready to shotgun another now. So there you have it. You notice there's maybe a tiny bit in there. I'll probably just shrink that down later. But for the most part, it's empty. That's the idea. You want to be able to drink the beer as fast as possible. That's what shotgunning beers is all about. And it's really a magical tradition that families have taken part in for centuries. So I encourage you to sit down and show your kid a thing or two. Teach him how to shotgun a beer. You can even do it with me, Mikey Kusnecki. Follow along here. Take it easy, and hopefully I'll see you again.